Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Whitemarsh Township Board of Supervisors meeting for November 9th. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, before we begin, we're just going to go around the room and introduce ourselves. I'm just kidding. JC was going to give us the announcements for tonight.
The Township building will be closed tomorrow, November 10th, to observe the generations of men and women who have honorably served our nation in the past, present, and future. On Saturday, November 11th at 9:45, the VFW, Post 1074, and the Conshohocken Veterans Association will honor all who have served at the Heroes Ground at the Veterans Monument in Miles Park. All are welcome to attend. Do you think you have the best holiday light display in Whitemarsh? Sign your property up at whitemarshparks.org or call the Parks and Recreation Department to compete for the Distinguished Award. Judging will take place on December 16th. The Township Leaf Collection Program has begun and will continue through December 8th. Please place your leaves by the curb for disposal. And as this is our last meeting in November, we want to wish everyone a safe and happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks, JC. Well, now we'll get to the big moment, I guess, of the evening. Chief Ward, well, you're going to come up and do our promotions.
We don't want to talk about the fence.
That's at the end. If everybody wants to stay till the end, we do have a fence to approve.
I apologize for my back. I want to thank the Board of Supervisors for the opportunity to come to tonight's meeting and formally introduce two of our officers that were promoted at the beginning of October. Promotions in the police department have occurred more often than we are used to, but changes in the department and retirements have led to the need to make these promotions. However, before I ask the lieutenants to make the formal introductions, I wanted to take an opportunity to inform the board and our residents that the police department is once again participating in No Shave November. This year we have partnered with Whitemarsh Elementary School to support the Colonial Neighborhood Council, a local food bank that supports families in need in the Colonial School District. Whitemarsh Elementary will be holding a food drive where each homeroom will compete to collect the most non-perishable food products to stock the Colonial Neighborhood Council. The homeroom that collects the most food by weight will win a canine demonstration in the spring that will be performed by Sergeant Stadoulis and Officer Sweeney, along with their canine partners, Nika and Diesel. On November 20th, 2023, members of the police department will go to the Whitemarsh Elementary and collect the food. After the winner is determined, we will help to transport the food donations to the Neighborhood Council. At the same time, we will present the Neighborhood Council with the money that was donated by the officers that are participating in the No Shave November, which is a $50 donation per officer. Please note that the Whitemarsh Police Officers Benevolent Association will be matching our cash donations. On a side note, the men and women of the police department have been asked by the Neighborhood Council to support the Christmas wishes of a 5-year-old little girl who is battling leukemia. We will be collecting money separately to secure this little girl's wishes. Now I will turn the floor over to the lieutenants to introduce the officers being recognized this evening for the recent promotion to Corporal and Sergeant. Corporal Johnson, or Lieutenant Johnson.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to introduce Corporal Christopher Huntsberger. He has been serving with the Whitemarsh Township Police Department for over 15 years after being hired as a police officer on June 23, 2008. Before coming to Whitemarsh, Corporal Huntsberger attended Indiana University of Pennsylvania's Police Academy and served as a Montgomery County Sheriff's Deputy for 7 years. He served in the Court Security Division before moving to the Prisoner Transportation Division. While serving with the Sheriff's Department, Corporal Huntsberger also served as a part-time police officer in Telford Borough for 3 years, just prior to joining us here at Whitemarsh. Corporal Huntsberger holds a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Indiana University of Pennsylvania. During his career, Corporal Huntsberger has been awarded commendations for exceptional service and life-saving. Corporal Huntsberger currently serves as a corporal for C Squad. With Corporal Huntsberger here tonight is his wife Stephanie, their 2 sons Matthew and Braden, and their 7-year-old sister Bryn. Also in attendance with Corporal Huntsberger is his mother Mary Huntsberger. Please join me in congratulating Corporal Huntsberger.
We did get him dressed up.
All right. Matthew Sedulis, can you join me up here, please? I feel like we were just here recently doing the same thing, but I'd like to present Sergeant Matthew Sedulis to everyone here tonight. Again, also sorry for my back being to you. Sergeant Sedulis has been serving Whitemarsh Township for over 16 years, after being hired as a police officer here on August 4th, 2007. Before coming to Whitemarsh, Sergeant Sedulis attended the Cape May County Police Academy and served as a seasonal officer with the North Wildwood, New Jersey Police Department for 2 years. He is also an 8-year veteran of the United States Coast Guard Reserve, serving on Long Beach Island's Barnegat Inlet and Philadelphia's 5th District Sector, the Delaware Bay Atlantic area. 2 short years after being hired, Sergeant Sedulis was instrumental in developing a proposal for Whitemarsh's first police canine unit. As a result of this work, Whitemarsh did adopt a canine unit, and Matt was selected as one of the first handlers, traveling to Mechanicsburg to be paired and trained with his first partner, Brock. Sergeant Sedulis continues to serve as a canine officer with his current partner, Nika. Matthew and Nika are cross-sworn with the United States Marshals Service Fugitive Task Force. He has also worked closely with the United States Secret Service in coordinating presidential and dignitary details. Sergeant Sedulis currently serves with the Montgomery County SWAT Central Regional Team as their canine support and response. Sergeant Sedulis is very active in our community relations activities, acting as the lead instructor for our Cop Camp program for the past 10 years, and previously presenting the Safety Kids, Charlie Check First philosophy. He's also presented to nearly every session of our Citizens Police Academy, and is a frequent visitor to our student coalition at PW High School. Matthew and his canine partners have also been featured at several other canine events throughout Montgomery County. Sergeant Sedulis holds a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Lock Haven University and earned his master's degree in criminal justice with a Homeland Security concentration from St. Joe's University in 2012. Sergeant Sedulis is also a certified crisis volunteer with the Montgomery County Critical Incident Stress Management Team and with the Veterans Response Team, where he provides critical services to first responders and veterans experiencing a crisis. With Sergeant Sedulis here tonight is his wife, Kristen, their daughters, Gianna and Ryan. Matthew's parents, Joseph and Linda, are here, as well as his siblings, Lisa, Joe, and Josh. Also here to celebrate Matt are his in-laws, Andrew and Janet Tapiro. Please congratulate me in the promotion, Sergeant Matthew Sedulis.
Brian, smile. Brian, smile.
Well, congratulations to both officers on their promotions, well deserved. And thank you to all of you, and thank you to your families for lending your loved ones to our township. And it means a lot, we're really proud of all of you. And you really keep our families and our friends and our neighbors safe, and it's a tough job, and we know that. Thanks for coming out tonight. If you want to stay for the end of the meeting, I will be relieving Mr. Miller of his duties. It might be interesting. Or if not, you're dismissed. Thank you. Yeah, we're letting them go tonight. Hey, what's going on, man? Good to see you. There you go, both of us. We're pointing at I know. Hey, Frank, good to see you, man. Good to see you, man. Chief, pleasure. Good to see you. Nobody ever wants to stay for the end.
Thank you.
Brian, are you not participating in No Shave November? Maybe grow hair. That'd be awesome.
You can't, though. Thank you.
That's
Really?
true, that's right.
I didn't even think about that. That is true. Yeah. Got it.
All right. I'm just making sure you're participating in team events.
Absolutely. Thanks for your time.
See you later. Thank you.
You too. Take care.
See you guys. Thank you.
I'm hoping Lisa's in the hallway.
Oh,
Can you get in? No, still
wanna
on
go
her.
walk?
She's not here. Let me go. That's what I was thinking. Good. All right. That's the party. Yeah.
all right. We can continue at this point. Just so you know, most of our meetings are that crowded in the beginning, and then they leave after the jokes are over. So I'm going to turn it back over to JC for honoring the William Jeans Library.
So, not long ago, the library was here, and Lisa was here to be honored for a Silver Star. And I knew that very shortly you would be back for a Gold Star, and I'm right. The William Jeanes Memorial Library has received the Gold Star designation from the Pennsylvania Library Association. This program recognizes libraries across the state who have made the 5 key literacies: basic, financial, health, civic, and social, and information, the cornerstone of their services. I want to thank Lisa and her staff and your board for their outstanding work to receive this prestigious statewide recognition. And please come up, we have a certificate for you. Yeah, why don't you go ahead and say a few words and then we'll get a picture. All right.
This was the safest place to be in the township tonight. I really like that. On behalf of the staff at the library, thank you for this recognition. We're proud to join our colleagues across the state as a Gold Star library. We've worked very hard for a few years towards this honor, and we hope that that work was invisible to the community. Incorporating the goals this award represents into our programming and services was seamless and only benefits everyone who visits the library. Hint, hint. We're appreciative of the township's support, and thank you again for recognizing our work.
Thank you, Lisa. Congratulations.
Well deserved. Thank you.
Congratulations.
All right. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing to review the ordinance authorizing the purchase of a 29-acre conservation easement at 7111 Sheaff Lane in the amount of $6,095,000 in accordance with the Open Space Act?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Kilkenny.
So there was a motion and a second. Did you call the vote?
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Hi, thank you very much, Chair McCusker. What we have here tonight is a requirement by law when we authorize and spend open space money that we have a public hearing on this. This public hearing has been advertised in our newspaper General Circulation on October 26th and November 2nd, 2023. That will be marked as T1. Copy of T2 will be the ordinance authorizing this, and the Board of Supervisors may go ahead and take action on this advertised ordinance later on in the agenda. Right now, and we'll mark that as T2, I'd like to turn it over to our Township Manager, Rick Mellor, to give a brief explanation. We'll see if there are any board questions or comments, see if there's any public comment. The board could either continue the hearing or close the hearing and take action.
Thank you, Mr. Kilkenny. We're here tonight after several months when we visited this for the first time at 7111 Sheaff Lane. This has been certainly a labor of love by many in and around the Highlands and in and around who live around the Highlands. As you may know, at 7111 Sheaff Lane, it was proposed for development. And there was a lot of concerns about development of what is commonly known as the Alter Estate property. The Highlands, through many people involved, including the neighbors, came up with this idea of, wait, can we purchase the property and how can we do this? We've worked extensively with Ed is here, Ed Shin and his team, and Kate and others involved, where it's really, I have to give credit, it's really been kind of his baby. And he approached the township about being a partner in this potential preservation of this tract of land. In that, when he approached us, we made an agreement, nothing permanent at the time, a resolution that said we would participate in placing a conservation easement over 29 acres on the property. That would be part of the overall contribution in preserving the property. Fast forward to where we are now and what we're doing here tonight. It is a couple of administrative duties that are needed in order for us to be in a position to, when they are ready, close on the property and have our contribution made for the easement. Those two items are this public hearing in order to be in compliance with the Open Space Act. We will be using Open Space Act 153 money from our open space earned income tax in the amount of $6,095,000 for the 29-acre easement. Also, we'll be considering an ordinance tonight, and that is in compliance with our home rule charter that requires any purchase of real property, conveyance or lease, we must do an ordinance in order for that to occur. So those administrative duties are taking place this evening, one in the form of the public hearing, two in a few minutes on the adoption of the ordinance. And once those are in place, then we would be in a position to work on complete the agreement of sale, which is being worked on through the Solicitor's Office and the Highlands Council. And then we would be in a position when all the conditions in the ordinance are met to close on the property. So this is a big deal tonight, a big deal for the township, certainly a big deal for the Highlands and the neighbors who have been working very diligently for the better part of 6-8 months at this point, trying to make this complex transaction come to fruition. Certainly the township is a big stake in this, and we would be able to preserve 29 acres of open space that'll be contiguous with other open space, Willow Lake Farms and the like. So it is something that certainly for generations to come would be a huge benefit to the community. So before you, we're having the public hearing. In the event there's any questions, comments that want to be raised by the board or then the public, once the board decides to close the public hearing, then we would vote on the ordinance, and that would allow compliance with the Home Rule Charter of Whitemarsh Township.
Thank you, Mr. Mellor. Do we have any board comment or questions? I just want to say I see a lot of the people on the board of the Highlands here and a lot of major players, and what a tremendous job you've done. And I'm looking at you, Ed, like you really did a great job, Mr. Moulton, Dana, Kate, like amazing. You should be proud of yourselves, and we're happy to be a part of it. Any public comment?
Yes, thank you. Edmund Shin. I live at 7032 Lafayette Avenue. This project has been the culmination of a public-private partnership between Whitemarsh Township, Montgomery County, local residents. To date, we have approximately 50 individual donors making up the private portion of this. We're going to create 170-acre public parkland by connecting Willow Lake Farm with the Highlands, which has trailhead parking that has long been needed. This parcel was identified over a decade ago in Whitemarsh Township's open space plan as a critical piece for maintaining the quality of life. It's upstream on the Wissahickon, so it affects flood zones. It is a priority conservation opportunity which we're seizing on with this grant. So we appreciate the work of the township manager, Charlie Guttenplan, Rick Mellor, the solicitor, Dave Sander, and Mr. Kilkenny's office has been phenomenal to work with, and we just really appreciate everything that the township is doing for this. So thank you.
Thanks, Ed. Any other public comment?
Hi, my name is Lisa Ramos, and I live at 7033 Sheaff Lane. And I just wanted to thank the township and everyone involved in this, because it It was a big deal, and the neighbors understood that. And it was a big leap for the township to do this, but you won't be disappointed. I just wanted to come here and thank you so much for doing this. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. Any other public comment?
Hi, I'm Dana Dorsey. Sorry. No. I'm Dana Dorsey. I live at 7001 Sheaff Lane. And as the Executive Director of the Highlands and a resident of Whitemarsh Township, I just wanted to thank you all so much for your cooperation in this deal. Thank you to Ed and Bill for being behind it from the very start and initiating it. On behalf of the neighbors and myself, I'd like to say thank you for your passion is shared by us in preserving open space, and thank you for your generosity with this large contribution.
Thanks, Dana. Anybody else? And Bill, I forgot you. Thank you, Bill, for all you've done.
My name's Bill Thompson. I live at 7126 Sheaff Lane, about a quarter mile down from the Highlands, and I'm the current president of the Highlands. All those signs you see up and down Sheaff Lane, I had a hand doing some of that. And I was just talking to Dana, and we're trying to figure out if we could get some kind of adhesive strip to attach to those signs saying success or something like that. We're very close to raising all the money we need. And without you, we wouldn't have been able to do it. So thank you very much. Thanks for your help.
Thanks, Bill. Last call for public comment. All right, hearing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, and the public hearing is now closed. They're clapping a little early. Hold your applause.
Not there yet.
We're still going to think, we might table this. All right, we'll move down to ordinances. Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance number 1032 to allow the purchase of real property under Act 153 and the Township's Home Rule Charter for a 29-acre conservation easement at 7111 Sheaff Lane in the amount of $6,095,000?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Miller, please call the roll.
Ms. Toll?
Yes.
Ms. Nestor?
Yes.
Mr. Manuel?
Yes.
Ms. Tureen?
Yes.
Chair McCusker?
Yes. Ordinance carries. Congratulations. All right. Do I have a motion to adopt the meeting minutes from October 12th, 2023?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right. Allow them
Yeah.
to leave.
Stay as long as you like.
You can, you don't have to.
All right, we'll move to board public discussion items. So we'll review SLD number 04-23, the Miquon School, 2025 Harts Lane, heart of the campus, preliminary final minor land development plan, new classroom building, and related improvements.
I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Guttenplan for introductions.
Thank you. I will give a very quick overview, and then you have others here that can do more than I can. This is a preliminary and a final minor land development plan for new classroom building at the Miquon School. As a result of the proposed construction, there will be two older buildings that will be removed. The new building in the center of the campus, hence the name Heart of the Campus Plan, and a number of rain gardens for stormwater management that will also be installed on the site. This has been through sketch plan, in front of the Planning Commission. This has been in front of the Zoning Hearing Board, received several items of relief that were necessary, and then they came back to the Planning Commission in October with their preliminary and final land development plan, at which time the Planning Commission recommended both.
I think you just have to, Kristen, mute your computer, I'm sorry, because it's just giving back feed.
Sorry.
Sorry.
The Planning Commission in October recommended both approval of the waivers requested and approval of the plan itself. And with that, I will turn it over to their attorney, Lauren Chesney, to give you a summary of the proposal.
Thank you very much, Charlie. Good evening, everyone. My name is Lauren Chesney. I'm an attorney with Fox Rothschild here this evening on behalf of the Miquon School. I have Charlotte Boulay with me, representative of the school, as well as other representatives and members. As was indicated in the opening, we are proposing to demolish 2 buildings in the center of our campus and construct a new educational building, handicap accessible educational building, so it will be an improvement to the school and our facilities, allowing now for handicap accessibility. As was indicated, we were before the Zoning Hearing Board back on July the 5th. There were a number of variances relating to floodplain or riparian corridors we needed relief from in order to develop the project. The Zoning Hearing Board granted all the zoning variances that were required. We were before the Planning Commission on October the 10th and made our presentation and had a discussion with Planning Commission, and they voted to recommend approval of the plan and recommend approval of the waivers that we were requesting at the time. We have had an opportunity to review the draft resolution that was submitted for the board's consideration. We have no issues with the resolution as drafted. We are happy to answer any questions you may have with respect to the project. If there are no questions, we respectfully request that the board grant the preliminary final approval of the plan, as well as grant the waivers that we've requested.
Thank you. Do we have any board comment or questions? Any public comment or questions?
If you need it, we can go through the PowerPoint, but if we don't need it,
We should just actually, if we can just see a picture of the plan, I think that's important.
If you can just go back a little bit where we can see the, yeah, that one's good. And just to orient everyone, the Harts Lane would be down at the bottom of the plan, and the driveway would come up off of Harts, and it wraps along the top of where it shows to be the buildings. The proposed building is right in the center of that plan. There are, as Charlie had indicated earlier, a proposal, rain gardens and environmental issues or improvements that we are proposing to make. Given the location of the property, if you're familiar with it, the slopes that we have there, we're very sensitive and interested in making the best improvement that we could at the site. As I indicated, the proposed building will be handicap accessible. Many of the facilities that we have there are not currently, so it will be an improvement. The proposal is not to change any of the current parking, the lighting or anything like that. It was simply to remove 2 buildings and construct the new one. So a lot of the waivers that we requested related to the existing parking and the lighting and things like that, which we weren't changing. And there are, along Harts Lane, there's no sidewalk, there's no curbing, so we asked for waivers for improving down at that end as well.
And I think a key part of that is as well is that there is no anticipated change in school population or school faculty number. This is just a swap out of 2 old buildings for 1 new building to serve the same population.
All right, sounds good to me. Any comments?
Charlie answered before I asked, so I'm good.
Any public comments? All right, thank you very much. We'll move down to resolutions.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to adopt resolution number 2023-25, granting conditional preliminary final minor land development approval for SLD number 04-223, the Miquon School, 2025 Harts Lane, for a new classroom building and related improvements?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mellor, can you please call the roll?
Ms. Toll?
Yes.
Ms. Nestor?
Yes.
Mr. Manuel?
Yes.
Ms. Terine?
Yes.
Chair McCusker?
Yes. Resolution carries. Congratulations.
Good luck.
All right. Our next board discussion item will be to review the relocation preliminary report from the Whitemarsh Art Center for the Corson property. So to qualify this a little bit, we're going to have the people from the Art Center come up and do their presentation, and then we'll take board comment and public comment. This won't be a question and answer period. As last week, the township presented what we're anticipating to do, and then as we get towards the future, we'll have more of a public process in coming up with our plans for the future. So we'll turn it over to you, Dan.
Hey guys, how you doing today?
All right.
Thanks for having us, appreciate it. Would you like me to just read it out, or do you have specific questions about it? Should I read through the list?
Well, we just wanted you to kind of present what you had.
Okay, so at this point, we have met with and hired Mark B. Thompson Associates as our architect. Our next steps are to do a walkthrough with the architects, some members of the board, if they please, as well as some teachers and a couple of members of the township that have been involved with the board of the Art Center. We're going to just talk about the feasibility and the safety issues that we have over at the new buildings. There are a lot of things to consider for the safety of our students, of our member owners, as well as the quality of the offering that we have at the current location. The building is just not really set up to be an art center in any way, shape, or form. Everything from lighting to entrances to accessibility. We do have students that utilize the handicap accessible ramp that we have at the Cedar Grove location, and to fully move our operation there, that's going to be one of the things that we need to at least allow for and create opportunities to. Along those lines, just going into some of the lists that were provided, the programming, there's a good opportunity that we could get winter programming in there for 2023 for children's classes, which would be 2 classes a week, from 4:30 to 6, serving children from 5 to 11 on Wednesday and Thursday nights. Events we hope to have there would be a Valentine's night on February 23rd. I guess February 23rd is the date they gave me. We just had a very successful Zentangle workshop, which we wish to reproduce, and we can hold that there, considering there's a lot less considerations. It's all pen and paper, pencil and paper, so there's no silica dust issues. And then there's also another program that we have called Alcohol Links that we'd like to run there. And again, there's a lot less safety considerations than our main class offering, which is our clay classes. One of the big things that happened was last weekend we were able to meet with some members of Alpha Phi Alpha. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the group. They are the oldest black fraternity in the nation. And as far as non-art programming, but community and cultural center programming that we're working to have there, one of the lead programs we're going to be running is kind of like a book club. It's a discussion club. We're going to be highlighting some of the works of the great abolitionists who have spoken there, as well as other books and stuff as chosen by a select group. One of the people on the committee that we met with yesterday was a sociology teacher from Montgomery Community College, as well as the guy who's in charge of education for Alpha. Let's see, on December 6th, we're going to be running an event called the Transformative Powers of Art. That is the anniversary from when we were there last year, as well as, so it's 1 year of celebrating the public announcement of Abolition Hall. And this event will be highlighted by the works of an artist, Booty. I refer to him as Booty. I can't pronounce his last name, but I'll get it down by the 6th, I promise. We're just going to speak about his life experience as a child in one of Philly's underserved communities and a victim of the preschool to prison pipeline, and how art helped him face life's changes. He was recently released after 42 years of wrongful incarceration for a murder he did not commit. So then moving on to structural updates and requirements. Exterior, lighting's an issue, and indoor and outdoor. The township has suggested and I believe offered to help us with, electricity and lighting and things like that. So this mostly covers the things that we would hope that the township is able to help us with. And as we narrow down the list a little bit more, we'll be able to come to you guys with specifics, with numbers for everything, and to get your further commitment on participation for the details of making the place more usable. Paved walkways are a mess. The deck is a mess and needs to be reinforced and repaired. If most of you have walked on it, it's quite creaky, and the main railing is not secure at all. Agreeable permanent signage is going to be needed, but again, we will get proposals and mock-ups to you guys to take a look at and approve before we move forward with having anything fabricated. And parking is a significant issue. There's some parking, but it's not really safe, very accessible, or have a lot of room. Interior, as I stated earlier, the overhead lighting, or the lack of overhead lighting, is a real issue. Everything was lit by lamps in the homes, and you can't have any kind of real art classes when things are lit by lamps. The only room that has overhead lighting is Abolition Hall itself, because that was built to be a studio. After it was the Abolition Hall, of course, obviously. Smoke and carbon monoxide detectors, I'm not sure what's there. I figured you guys might be able to help with that, but again, we'll take a look and get back to you as far as what might be needed more specifically. We're going to need to install a clay trap in the kitchen sink for, even with children's classes, we do have, 1 or 2 day projects where they are working with clay. And even that little bit of clay could really mess up the plumbing, and we don't need to create any more problems. So with that, if we're going to be making any clay classes there, or the kids are going to be making clay, we're going to put a small kiln in one of the garages. We haven't been able to get into that garage yet. The key is improperly labeled, so we're going to have to sit there and go through the box of keys and figure out how to open it. But we will need a 220 volt outlet even for a small clay kiln. Securing the stove is just something that one of our teachers brought up because the sink is so close to the stove. But within looking into it, there's a number of quick, easy, over-the-counter, just fixes to secure that the kids aren't going to accidentally bump into one of the burners and turn it on, or release gas into the air. We do need to look into and figure out how we're going to better child-proof it. Kids have a tendency to get into trouble, and there's a lot of rooms in the house, and we got to make sure that we control their movement, especially when you talk about to and from restrooms and stuff like that in the middle of the class when we just have a teacher and assistant watching 8 to 12 kids. We're asked to provide a list of things that need to be relocated from the Cedar Grove property. including with this would be all of our administrative space, because we'd be running our administrative offices out of the Corson homestead, the Corson barn. Then there's art supplies, there's a very large wooden cabinet that we have to make sure that it's kind of built into the space. Otherwise, you'd have to empty it and find additional storage. But I want to take a look and ask the township, talk to Marco or one of Tom's guys to see what they think and get an opinion from them. And then there's, just tables, shelves, slab roller, other furniture. Most of the stuff is what we have in the front room of the 2 rooms. So it's a good amount, the entire contents of our supply closet, a lot of, paper and art supplies and stuff like that. Most of it's neatly stacked and easy to get in and out and move. It's just going to be, again, time consuming. And the TVs and mounting equipment would be very helpful to get over, but that might not have to be done in phase 1. And the contents of the barn and storage, again, I think that could easily be a phase 2 thing. I guess it depends on you guys on how quickly you want us to vacate our storage space within the barn. And that pretty much is the preliminary overview of what we have to do next to get relocated, and probably have classes as early as mid-January for children anyway at Abolition Hall.
Okay, thank you. I do have a lot of questions, but I promised we weren't going to ask questions today. But anyway, thanks for the report.
No problem.
Is there any board comment on this?
I do have a quick question.
Please do.
Have you made an effort yet, and if not, will you soon be making an effort to try to identify the health and safety issues, upgrades that would need to be in place before you could have the events that you're talking about having in January?
Yes, we were hoping to have this schedule done for tonight, but it didn't happen with prep and some other stuff. Monday night is our board meeting. We will be signing the agreement with the architect, and from there we're going to put together that walkthrough with the architect and engineers to look at what's safe, what's not safe, exactly what has to be fixed, what kind of lighting we need and stuff like that, as well as booking time to get an environmental engineer in there just to take another look at the environmental precautions that parents and teachers have asked us to look into. Everything from, asbestos to gases and other things.
Okay, thank you.
And just for the rest of you, should you have questions, feel free to send me an email and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Sure.
Thank you, guys.
Any other board comment? Public comment?
Good evening, Sidel Zove, Harts Ridge Road. As you know, I've been following the Art Center's efforts to occupy these buildings, and I regularly walk the premises and sometimes peek in through the windows to see what's happening, which I did yesterday, as a matter of fact. And after reading the 3-page memo that the Art Center board president just went through, quite frankly, I had more questions. It raised more questions than provided answers for me. I am relieved to hear that there is a very clear focus on health and safety issues, because that's one of the issues that arose for me in reading the memo. I'm familiar with old buildings. My husband and I spent years renovating an old house in Germantown, and I oversaw renovation project at the Sheaff Food Program on Hunting Park Avenue, which was built in 1917. I know that carbon monoxide from old furnaces is an issue. I know that asbestos appears in the most unlikely of places, including old plaster. It also appears in the glazing compound that's used to hold old window glass in place in wood frame windows. And lead dust. There's no question that there's got to be lead dust throughout these buildings, given their age and the amount of paint, the layers and layers of paint. with children who are coming to art classes, I don't think you have to worry about them ingesting paint chips that have lead, but you do have to worry about lead dust from windows, double-hung windows rubbing as they go up and down, from door jambs, doors rubbing on door jambs, from people walking across wooden thresholds that have been painted every few years over the last 200 years. So there are many, many environmental issues that need to be addressed here. In addition to which, the safety of that exterior wood stairs and deck, that thing should come down. There's just no question about it. I looked at it again yesterday. It is a wreck. I think it's beyond being repaired at this point. And it concerns me that in January there could be children and adults, and even before then, people using that stairway to get into the building. What I'm not quite clear on from the presentation tonight and from reading the memo is exactly where classes and events are going to be held. For the short term, is it the Stone Barn, otherwise known as the main house? Is it Abolition Hall, lower level and upper level? Is it the Hovenden House? Which leads me to my second significant point here that I'd like to raise, and that is that the memo talks about engaging an architect, and I have discovered that the principal architect in the firm is a woman named Clara Donato, who is highly regarded in the field of historic preservation. So that's a source of comfort to me. However, this notion of walking through with stakeholders to conduct a feasibility study and determine how to ensure a safe and suitable space to hold classes in both the short and long term, to do that through a single walkthrough is concerning. And I don't think it can be done in a single walkthrough, particularly given the inspection reports that I acquired through a right-to-know request some time ago, 2 inspection reports done by Craig Tillman Inspections Incorporated, as well as the memo from the township's own building code person, Alex Pienka, which is dated Wednesday, May 26, 2021, which confirms and reiterates many of the concerns raised by Craig Tillman in his report, and suggests that there are improvements that need to be made immediately. So I would urge the township to move very cautiously in inviting the Art Center to hold classes for children in particular in January. If the essential repairs that are pointed out in the inspection report and in Alex Pienka's memo are not addressed, and I'm not sure that you can fully account for all the concerns with a single walkthrough with the architect. I hope that the inspections that were referenced earlier, environmental engineer and others, I hope that they happen, and I hope that the improvements that are recommended can be taken on prior to classes starting. And if not, if those improvements cannot be made, then I don't think any classes for children should be held in any of the buildings. That is my primary concern. We need to take care of the least vulnerable among us, and the children are those people. Not that we shouldn't care about adults, but we have a responsibility to protect children from hazardous conditions, carbon monoxide, lead, asbestos in particular. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Come on up.
I'm Jocelyn Day.
Come on up to the podium.
Just a little comment.
That's all right.
Very well. I'm Jocelyn Ney. I live on Andorra Hill Road in Lafayette Hill. And I just wanted to underline the fact that everything is being done in a certain process. And one of the first things we wanted to do was to hire the architect, because a walkthrough is not going to tell us, only what's going to be. You're absolutely right, and I agree with Sedell greatly, except for one thing. We're doing a walkthrough only because there are things that we want to discuss before she
makes a plan. We're going to have to go through a certain amount of people, and types of engineers. We're going to have to be able to put together a plan so we know what has to be done and a priority of what is realistically having to be done right away. And then we have to also put into that what it is that we need to have done right away and what we can afford to do, of course. So here we are at the very, very beginning, and it seems to me one of the most important thing, of course, is the safety of not only little children, big children too. And I think this is really what the message is for me tonight, is to make sure that you understand there has to be a process, and you have to give us time to go through the process. Anyway, thank you very much. I'm delighted that we're doing this, by the way, but it's going to be done right.
Hi, Edmund Shin. I just have a suggestion. When the Highlands took township funds to repair its buildings, the first thing that it did was it commissioned a property condition report from Spillman Farmer Architects, which went through all the structures and identified mechanical, structural, environmental issues. And Sal at Spillman Farmer was excellent, and we were very pleased with the product, and it created a roadmap for the priorities and things that need to occur from a life safety standpoint. So perhaps make that recommendation as a potential avenue for how to go about taking on this project. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. Any other public comment? All right, before we leave this, as discussed last week at our departmental meeting with the board, Mr. Miller, I'd like to authorize staff to look into a planner for the open space up at Abolition Hall.
Okay, we can do that. I know last week we talked about, kind of two public processes, the one being the buildings, but with what you're requesting on behalf of the board, staff will start to look at the necessary entities that could start to do some planning, environmental planning for the open space over the next several weeks.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you for your report, and good luck with everything. We look forward to working together to make it a great project and a great addition to our already awesome community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it.
All right. Do I have a motion to authorize the Highlands Historical Society capital plan adoption for the Highlands, 7001 Sheaff Lane, which is a required condition in the agreement of sale?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mellor.
Thank you, Chair McCusker. This is a request that we received from the Highlands in conjunction with the agreement of sale. If they have a capital plan, they're to provide that 30 days in advance of the end of their fiscal year. They provided their 23-24 capital improvement plan. I'm not going to go through it. If they want to come up and highlight anything, they're here. They're welcome to do that if they like. I don't think they need to go through everything unless the board has some questions, but what this gives, I believe, is an outline of where they want to go. There is a provision in the agreement of sale that anything over $5,000 would have to come back, but at least this gives a pretty decent roadmap of what their goals and objectives are for the next 12 months.
Edmund Shin, I'm chair of the Facilities Committee at the Highlands. As I mentioned earlier, we commissioned a property condition report which looked at all of the buildings and provided in great depth and detail priorities from both a structural, mechanical, architectural vantage. In this phase, we've provided a one-year look-ahead budget. We're not necessarily going to do everything, but we're hoping to accomplish most of it. We're seeking authorization to do up to the amount that's in the capital plan. We're going to be tackling major projects in the Mansion House between now and April. We're shutting down for open public events for that period of time. We're installing HVAC. We're doing electrical upgrades. We're adding a backup generator. We're going to improve our parking so that there's greater parking for the increased trail usage. And we're also restoring the Gardener's Cottage. doing a full renovation of that. We're using 2 local contractors, which is Spectracon, which is headed by Rich Hubbard, who has a lot of historical work in his background, and Hearth Builders, which did Whitemarsh Foundation and the Ambler Theater. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I know you have a lot on your plate today, so I'll keep it short.
Thanks, Ed. Any board comments, questions? Any public comment or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. All right. Do I have a motion to adopt Resolution number 2023-26, authorizing the submission of a Department of Conservation and Natural Resources local share account grant to request $1 million to help fund a project to rehabilitate approximately 4,249 linear feet of aging stormwater piping by in-place lining and/or coating, allowing Craig McAnally as the authorized signer on behalf of the township.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mellor?
Thank you, Mr. McCusker. If this sounds like something you did last month, it is because you did. You stated the reason why we're doing it again. Krista and her firm hasn't submitted the application yet. It's due at the end of November. So we just felt that at this point it was probably prudent to have Mr. McAnally's name on there instead of mine. So we're just switching the name on behalf of the township.
Thank you, Mr. Mellor. Any board comment? Any public comment? Mr. Mellor, please call the roll.
Ms. Toll?
Yes.
Ms. Nestor?
Yes.
Mr. Manuel?
Yes.
Ms. Tureen?
Yes.
Chair McCusker?
Yes. Resolution carries. Congratulations, Craig.
You willingly accept this great responsibility.
Do I have a motion to approve the 2024 work budget as the 2024 preliminary budget as required in the township's home rule charter?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Barron?
Good evening. Why didn't everybody stay for his wonderful budget? I don't understand.
It was the
Very
beard.
highly upset, you know. I told all the cops that they had to stick around or we were cutting the police out, but they all left, so.
Well,
Well, you're participating in No Shave November, too.
Yeah.
They
I
should
am, and
have.
I'm going to donate to police calls because of that, too. So,
Really?
Yes.
Are you also going to double as Santa Claus? Just kidding.
I might.
We can move on.
All right. Just to start off, September 28th, we presented the board with the budget book, the work budget. We had a few meetings. October 9th, we met with all the department heads. October 16th, we met with all the ancillaries, the fire department, ambulance departments to go over their budgets. Tonight, we're here November 9th to approve the preliminary budget, and then we will be back here December 14th, hopefully to approve the final budget. We will be here then. Charlie, next slide, please. Won't change. See, the police are jinxing me because I talk bad about them.
They took the batteries.
Sure that's on.
Yeah, it's blinking.
Let me get out of it. It's not doing anything.
Mr. Miller, you have something to do with this?
Setting it up.
I plead the fifth.
It's not funny.
Just want to stay as long as I can here.
Okay.
There you go.
There we go.
Changed.
See that?
Okay, so the preliminary 2024 preliminary work budget, the revenues are $21,131,064. Total expenditures, $21,624,738. So the time the work budget was put together back in September, there was a $493,000 deficit. So the revenues. Charlie, can we hide?
I can't. I wish I could.
Can you drag it?
Just go to not on my screen.
Okay, just go to
minimize,
minimize.
Charlie.
all the way to the left of that little slash.
It's not on the screen now.
Is it on your screen?
This has been the problem with the Zoom.
It's off my screen.
I'm gonna, for the final, I'll shrink it over. You all have a copy of this. This just lists out the revenues, the big part of the revenues. Of course, I just went to the next one. Real property, real estate, earned income tax, amusement, so on. There's a big, nice graph. As you can see, the earned income tax is a big part, real property. If you take the property tax, earned income tax, business tax, locally, that's about 75% of our revenue budget. So without them, we'd be in trouble. So everyone says, you know, what makes up your budget? The other ones are all little things, license and permits, fines, rents, state share, and so miscellaneous. Again, we're hidden here. The expenditure budget is all the numbers. You have it all in front of you. I'll give you a pretty little chart. This shows you the police are one of the biggest departments, employee benefits, public works, and then all the other little pies to the chart that make up all of the departments' budgets throughout for 2024. Some of the things that help the budget is the real estate taxes. We here at Whitemarsh collect about 97 to 98% of the taxes during the year. So about 2% get turned over to the county for delinquent taxes. And usually we collect about 70% of that in the following year of the delinquent taxes. So that's pretty good. We have very low lien in taxes. The earned income tax and revenue and business taxes are unbelievably, they're already above budget at this time. We did adjust them, and hopefully we will be balanced on the December 14th. Real estate tax, transfer tax, I have a graph a little later to show you where that is. Building permits are above budget, same thing with electrical permits. Health insurance costs have been kept low for the last few years, and the increase for next year came in at less than we predicted. The MMO for the police pension plan, we re-looked at the police pension MMO, and we used a method called smoothing, which is going to help us save extraordinary amount of money to balance this next year budget. Reserve fund balance and liquid fuels. We're doing with liquid fuels is, when I got here, we're using liquid fuels to just do the paving on the roads. We've moved some things over, snow, storm sewer stuff over to liquid fuels, and it kind of opened up the money in the general fund. We had a good amount of money in our liquid fuels fund. That is the money we get for the state to maintain the roads. So you have to use it for roads. You can't use it for police. You can't use it for pension. It has to be used for the roads. So this is the real estate tax, and of course the column I want to show you is the last column. So that showed $1 million at this time. It is now already $1.1 million, and we still have November and December's real estate transfer tax to get. So if we got about the average about $30,000 or $40,000 in November and December each, is about another $80,000, puts us almost at $1.2 million in real estate transfers for 2023. As you can see the chart up top, the average is about 976 over the last year, 10 years. So we budgeted 900,000 because we can't always say that just because we've collected $1 million every year, we're going to collect $1 million next year. Rather be safe than to over budget and be short at the end during the year. This is, again, our last column is missing, but it shows the average assessed value over the years. You can see where we went up, and that's where in like 2017, 18, where some of the developments were built, and the assessments went up. Right now, the assessment when I put the book together was $1,915,000,000. It is now $1,911,000. It's dropped for some of the assessments that have happened through the last couple of months. That'll change again next month, and it'll change again in December. So to tell you the exact number, I can't tell you, but it'll be right around that average, and that's what we use for budget. So we're good. We're good with that. The debt, as you can see, is leveled. I look back at 2022 when I did this chart, and I think, why? And Rick knows because we were looking at refinancing the debt this year, and our interest rates were so low back in 2022 that our debt paid was less than what we had budgeted because we had a budget for the interest rates to jump. They didn't jump, they stayed. So we budgeted what could have happened, but we only paid what we needed to pay. So that was why 2022 is less. 2024 is $1,020,000, where this year's $1,022,000. So it's not really a big difference. Charlie and Jason. All right. This was something I put together this year. Everyone always says Whitemarsh is raising taxes. Whitemarsh is raising taxes. No, we have not. I've been here 3 years, we've never raised taxes, and I think 10 years probably before that, or more than that, they haven't raised taxes. So I put this together.
Yeah, we haven't, the township hasn't raised the general fund millage since 2001.
So I put this together just to show what the other townships around us millage rates are. You can see we're the lowest, and I didn't do that on purpose. I went and pulled all the townships connecting with us: Plymouth, East Norriton, Whippane, Lower Merion, Conshohocken. You can see Ambler's is 8.81. It's almost 4 times more than, probably 3 times more than ours. So our township taxes stayed the same and hasn't raised in many, many years. So it was just something I put together. This was a chart I love to show. This shows the chart of all the taxes that the residents pay. Again, the school tax is 78.94%. Right? Then you have Montgomery County at 12.38, Montgomery County Community College of 1.23, and our tax is 7.468 of everybody's total tax bill. So I'll leave you at that chart. That's all I have for tonight.
Thanks, Kevin. Any board comment? Kevin, I'll just say, I know this was a tough year for you, personally and all that, and your attention to detail, your focus, and your precision has been a major asset to township business. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For all you do. Any public comment?
It's with family and friends I've had here that it's gotten me through the last few months.
Yeah, well, great job. We appreciate it.
And I actually really like your pie charts. And I like the comparison of the millage. I love that. I'm a visual person. It's really helpful.
I'm sorry, I'm a numbers person. Everyone here knows that. So for me, I like looking at numbers, but a lot of people don't. And if you don't like looking at numbers, you're not going to pay attention. But you get a pretty little chart. It shows you.
Pretty little chart.
Yep.
Good, thank
Plus
you.
the colors.
Vince pointed out during executive that I like numbers too, paint by numbers. So we're in good shape. But thanks, Kevin. Any public comment? All right. Where are we? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Do I have a motion to authorize the advertisement of an ordinance for the purchase of 534 South Bethlehem Pike with the use of a FEMA hazardous mitigation grant funds in the amount of $330,155.40?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mellor?
Thank you, Chair McCusker. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. McAnally for this one.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. In front of you, back in 2022, Whitemarsh Township worked very closely with the owner of 534 South Bethlehem Pike. This was a property that has been devastated by some flooding and damage through heavy rainstorms and light rainstorms. We worked with them through a hazard mitigation grant program that is administered by FEMA. What happens there is the township actually acquires the property from the property owner. We raise the house or the dwelling, the property, and we put the land back to with no structure on it. FEMA provides the money. We were able to get the grant program for $330,155.40 to acquire, raise, and restore the property. What we have to do now is purchase the property from the existing property owner. Through our charter, we have to, for any acquire any real property, we have to pass an ordinance for that. So the staff is requesting that the board approves authorization to authorize the advertisement of the ordinance in front of you for the purchase of property at 534 South Bethlehem Pike for the purchase price of $245,000.
All right. Thank you. Any board comment? Public comment? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thanks, Craig.
Thank you.
Do I have do I have a motion to authorize the advertisement of an ordinance in accordance with Act 172 to grant township real estate tax credits to active volunteer firefighters who serve in the fire department for which they own and reside as their primary residence?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Miller.
Once again, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. McAnally.
The board earlier this year asked the staff to look into Act 172, which is the volunteer firefighter tax credit. In front of you is an ordinance to adopt the ordinance for Act 172 for any firefighter that owns and resides in Whitemarsh Township that serves on either Barron Hill Fire Company or Spring Mill Fire Company. Again, the charter calls for any change in the tax rate would need an ordinance to be approved by the board, and we're asking the board to authorize advertisement of that ordinance tonight for a future meeting.
Thanks, Craig. Any board comment?
That's pretty remarkable. So we've not done this before?
No, it's a benefit to those firefighters, our volunteer firefighters who live within the township and own their property. So I think it was, I forget the amount, was it 40, 20?
What we're looking at for 2024 would be roughly about $24,000. Roughly about 50 firefighters would work on this, would be able to collect this.
Very nice.
And just keep in mind, it's not the full tax bill. It's just the real estate, so it's at 7%. If they would want the credits from the other taxing bodies, they would have to get a similar approval from the other taxing bodies.
Right.
Yeah, it's just a nice recognition having a volunteer fire department to give some help to them.
They also believe it'll help with recruiting. We'll see what happens. So they definitely need help with that.
Very
All
good,
right.
thank you.
Any public comment? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Do I have a motion to allocate $911.20 in donations received from the Fall Shredding Day to Whitemarsh Community Ambulance Association for volunteering their services in coordinating activities on the day of the event?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mellor?
Thank you, Chair McCusker. Once again, we had a very busy but successful and popular Fall Shredding Day. We had this season, we had the Whitemarsh Community Ambulance come out and provide their volunteerism on that day. Again, the public and those that were there were generous with their donations. I also want to recognize one of our employees, Sandy Singrella, and her husband, Jim, who are always there volunteering and helping to move it along, in addition to the members of Tom and his team at the Department of Parks and Recreation. We have split the donations, and they split with the Park and Rec Department as well as our emergency service provider, as again, it was the Whitemarsh Community Ambulance. This year it was $911.20 that'll be donated to them as part of our agreement.
Thank you. Any board comment? Public comment? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Do I have a motion to authorize the escrow release number 4 for the Oaks at Lafayette Hill, Cedar Grove Road, in the amount of $32,285.88?
So moved.
Second.
Krista.
Good evening. This is for Phase 3 of the Oaks at Lafayette Hill. There's a separate escrow for Phase 1 and 2, which is larger. But yes, this is in the amount of $32,285.88. And after this release, there will be $73,292.46 remaining. Our office inspected the work and found the improvements to have been constructed in accordance with the plans, and we recommend this release.
Thanks, Krista. Any board comment?
Does,
go ahead.
Does this escrow include the road pavement? Or will that be in the next escrow?
It does not.
Okay.
That's the big chunk of it, is the 1.5-inch wearing course that remains, and then the retainage and some other stuff, trees, plantings.
I know they planted a bunch of trees already, but I know there's some more that have to come
Yeah, and
in.
it seems like they're eager to work towards closing it out.
Yes, I know they're anxious
There's a lot of
to get
movement
out.
right
I just
now.
want to make sure. I mean, you guys have to come in and inspect too, so that's
Yes, yeah.
awesome. Thank you.
How close is it to having the whole project be done?
It's hard to say because they have to close out their NPDES permit through the Conservation District, and that tends to take a while. And we're getting into winter, so they're not going to be able to convert the basins for a while. It's going to be a couple months at least.
But all the construction, all that part of it?
I would say it's substantially complete. Like they may pave sooner than that. To the normal person, it'll look done.
I know they've regraded 2 of the basins. I know they
Yes.
still have some more work to do.
Yep. Lots of. They got rid of those concrete blocks. That
Yes, yes, they did. Thank goodness.
All right. Any public comment? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Do I have a motion to authorize the escrow release number 2 for 5 and 15 Germantown Pike in the amount of $100,294.65?
So moved.
Second.
Back to Krista.
This is the development right at Germantown and Butler. It's the 2 buildings, and they're expanding the parking lot in between, and there's a building addition on the one farther from Butler, and then other site improvements. They are requesting $100,294. Oh, that's the $133,578.17. And after this release, there would still be $150.
Wait a second, Krista.
I'm sorry?
I was doing the one for 5 and 15, Germantown.
Oh, I skipped again. It's $100,294.65 is the amount of this request for 5 and 15 Germantown Pike. Remaining would be $150,568.07. And again, our office inspected the site and found the improvements to have been constructed in accordance with the plan, and we recommend this release.
Thanks, Krista. Any board comment? Any public comment?
Sidel Zove. 2 comments. On my recent visit to the Corson homestead, I did look through the thicket of shrubs and saw that a number of trees had been planted and staked very close to the Hovenden house, sort of behind the parking lot of the Corson homestead and closer to Hovenden house. They seemed very close together. And I wondered, are they there just sort of as a holding area, or is that their permanent planting position?
I'm not sure which ones you're talking about. They are following what's on the plans.
They are.
They haven't requested any money related to landscaping at this time.
Okay.
So we would send the arborist out to review
So
that.
it's a cluster of trees planted very close together. They're probably 2 to 3 inch caliber trees.
Right between the Hovenden and the other house?
Actually, behind number 5.
Okay.
That's where they're located. And given how close they are, I wondered whether they were just sort of being held there for temporarily until they're installed in their permanent spot, but they're close together. And my other concern relates to the historic hairpin fencing that was removed along the Germantown Pike frontage. I did notice that it was stockpiled at the rear somewhere, and I just want to reiterate my previously raised concern on multiple occasions that that fencing be reinstalled as they promised it would be, and that a section that was damaged would be repaired and reinstalled as well. So I just want to make sure that the record reflects that I've not lost track of that, and I hope.
We are watching.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Do I have a motion to authorize the final escrow release, number 1, final for Flourtown Shopping Center, Bethlehem, Pike, in the amount of $133,578.17?
So moved.
Second.
Krista, you're on fire.
Got one more after this. As you know, the Flourtown Shopping Center, which straddles the border of Whitemarsh Township and Springfield Township, has recently completed the work. This request is for the portion of the improvements that are within Whitemarsh Township, and then Springfield Township has a separate escrow for the stuff on their side of the line. Everything that they're requesting within Whitemarsh Township, we have observed to have been completed in accordance with the approved plans. And we are recommending the release of $100,200, nah, that's 515. Too many. Okay, this one's $133,578.17. And then again, that would leave 0 remaining in the escrow. And we did, as I said, inspect the site and found the improvements to have been constructed in accordance with the plans.
Thanks, Krista. Any board comment? Public comment? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Do I have a motion to authorize the escrow release number 27 for Reserve at Creekside, Stenton Avenue, in the amount of $210,597.75?
So moved.
Second.
Back to Krista.
This is the townhome development near the intersection of Joshua and Flourtown, which has been under construction for some time now. As you can tell by the fact that it's release number 27. This leaves $125,000 in escrow, and that's all retainage. All the individual quantities have previously been released. And they're in a similar place as the Oaks, where they have some basin conversions and some little touch-ups and punch list items to do. They're a little farther along than the Oaks. But we have inspected the site and found the improvements to have been constructed in accordance with the plans and recommend this release.
Thanks, Krista. Any board comment? Public comment? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Do I have a motion to accept the resignation of Township Manager Richard L. Miller, Jr., effective December 15th, 2023, and name Craig T. McAnally acting Township Manager, effective December 16th, 2023?
So moved.
Nope.
Nope.
Second.
Mr. Mellor, you want to talk about yourself?
Not at all. I never have. I don't like doing that at all. It's not about me. It's about this township. It's about the leaders in this township. It's about the staff in this township, the consultants in this township. It's in a really good spot. It's a great place to work. I think it's a really good organization. I'm excited about watching from afar the future. It's got tremendous leadership starting, with this board and the previous boards that gave me the opportunity to be here. So it was never about me. I'm just glad that I had the opportunity here and can hopefully make some positive influences in the community. And again, I couldn't have done it without the support of you all. Certainly my staff, I say it all the time, I'm only as good as they are, and everybody else around me. So I appreciate it. It's very bittersweet. It wasn't something that I was looking for to leave or was trying to leave here. I really enjoy it. It really is a great place to live and work. I truly believe that here, especially coming back home to a place where I graduated from Plymouth Whitemarsh High School. I always teased, and I can say this now, the great part about working in Whitemarsh was I knew a lot of people. The bad part about working in Whitemarsh was I knew a lot of people. But all teasing aside, it's a great community, and the future is certainly bright due to all of your leadership. So thank you.
Thanks, Rick. And we'll have more to say about you next month on your final meeting.
I'll still be here. I'm still here for.
Yeah, we'll have. Well, that's what I'm talking about. Again, you've made this a practice of correcting me. I've approved the minutes already.
I must have missed it.
You know,
I was hanging on every word. I usually hang on every word. That's what I'm.
Because you're waiting for the mistake.
Which always comes.
Anyway, he's
Craig,
aggravated.
he's not going to be like this with you. Don't worry.
I just one last thing. I commend you on the decision to name Craig the acting. I think that really gives me a peace of mind leaving here, is that you have somebody very talented who knows how to manage, and I think will be supported by the staff and will be very successful in his time in Whitemarsh. So
I agree.
Yes.
Looking forward to it. All those any public comment on this one? Sayonara, Rick.
It says.
I hope all your fans come December 15th or 14th.
For the roast.
14th. I have a lot of material. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve expenditures totaling $1,161,473.65 and payroll totaling $645,954.67 and pension paid costs totaling $3,070.33 for October 2023?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. Takes us to public comment period. Do you have any public comment?
Sidelzo, I want to thank you, Fran, for directing Mr. Mellor to do whatever is necessary to begin the process of engaging a consultant to help with the open space planning. However, I want to add that it's not just the land behind the Abolition Hall property and the stone barn. That's approximately 8 acres. There's also the hog parcel, which the township acquired, something like 2.5 acres. And then adjacent to that is 10 acres that the township has owned for many, many years. So it's over 20 acres altogether of township-owned land that needs to be looked at in its entirety. Additionally, I want to make sure that all of you are aware of the fact that there are delineated wetlands on the Corson homestead and to some extent overlapping into Hobb. 3 delineated wetlands as delineated by the Army Corps of Engineers, in addition to which there are sinkholes on Hobb that are water-filled from time to time, and the Army Corps found signs of aquatic life. They found dragonfly nymphs and tadpoles, bullfrog tadpoles there when they did their investigation. So there are wetlands that deserve special attention, and in fact there are planners, land use planners who specialize in wetland management. And I don't know whether we need 2 consultants or 1, but the wetlands are really key. They are the sponges for our community. They soak up excess water, and we know we have plenty of it. So I hope that you will just keep that in mind as you move forward. And I would love to be part of the planning process that works with a consultant. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Del.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Any board comment? Hearing none, I'd like to announce we had an executive meeting prior to this meeting where we discussed personnel. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 We are adjourned. Good evening, everybody. Have a great night.